Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay. I had hoped that today's video would be a supporter spotlight, but I knew I wasn't going to get it done in time, so I went to my replays portal instead and picked out a game with a nice shiny big round number. So yeah, this is going to be impressive in some way or other. Now I don't typically do that. You could just have a channel where you only ever go for high damage or high spotting or high XP games, but you'd miss out an awful lot of good games that don't fall into those criteria. So it's comparatively rare for me to do that, but I was in a bit of a hurry and this one caught my eye for precisely that reason. So we're just going to go with it, and it is a pretty good game. So this is ATI 909 in the M60, which is a Clan Wars reward tank. It's got a 105mm gun. You can see APCR standard ammo, so those shells are fast, and that's going to come in handy in several places in this game. And I think the frontal armour isn't half bad either. I think it's actually quite respectable. So he's going for the hill to start with. He's got one or two tanks with him. There's the Kranwagen and the Skoda there. And initially it looks like there's not much here because the T49 was being very shy, but then it turns out the 907 has pushed up and all the way around the side of the castle, which has gotten ATI spotted. And there's heavies coming up behind as well, so there's a T10 and there's also going to be an IS-6 that appears. So it's not that the odds are overwhelming or anything like that, but this is going to turn out to be an annoyingly even fight, because you don't want an even fight, you want uneven fights, you want things to be dramatically in your favour. However, of course, in World of Tanks terms, that means it's going to be in somebody else's, you know, it's going to, the opposite case is going to be true elsewhere on the map. I got there in the end. So, the IS-6 has appeared. That, I think, was a shot into, like, that was like bottom of the gun mantle or something. I'm not entirely sure what that shot was, the first one. He then takes a hit whilst he's trying to reload and hit the IS-6. So I think that was maybe a little incautious. He didn't necessarily need to take that hit. That, however, that was a much better bit of damage to actually put out. However, with the Kranwagen reloading and backing off, the T10 took that as a perfect time to pull round and shoot him. However, fortunately, the frontal armour blocks at least one of those shots, but he's down to not a lot of health. Now, in his haste to try and kill off the T10, he takes another hit, which kills his gunner. But I think that was a better trade. It's just that very first hit against the IS-7 was, the IS-6 rather, was just, I don't know, it felt a little unnecessary. He's maybe going to come to regret losing those hit points. So the Kranwagen taking a big hit from artillery there, unfortunately. He's about to actually get finished off by the T49, so that's their heavy tank support done. There's a T44 there, who's also come to join in the party, but he decides to be rather shy and to run away. Meanwhile, of course, that 907 is still there to deal with, and he's full health. So the 907, obviously, having spotted ATI, decides he's going to go for the WZ because there's nothing that can immediately stop him. And that's bad news for the WZ because the 907's DPM is pretty good. As you can see, the WZ takes one hit. It's actually backing up there. And ATI does slightly block him, but he was never going to make it out of there alive. He was always going to die because he decided to reverse. So, now it's him and the Skoda versus this 907. There's a slight risk the T49 might try and pop up here, but, well, he seems to be being a bit shy, so that's fine. They can just work this guy over. And there's also a T34 coming up the hill as well. Although, it's odd timing to do so. I'm not entirely sure why. The 907, by the way, I mean, he had one tracking shot and then could potentially have had further tracking shots, but it doesn't matter in the end. You know, he didn't lose any more health, but the Skoda did. He lost rather a lot of health against that guy. So, time for a maybe cheeky side shot on the E75, and no, okay. That bounced. Meanwhile, the T44 has come back up again, and the T49's there as well. Now he's got to be a little bit careful here. If he takes a hit from the T-49, that could be nasty, and that just misses him. Frontally it shouldn't be too much of an issue, but in the side or rear armour it could be very bad indeed. So he's got to be a little careful here. And that maybe explains why he lets this happen. He's basically set himself up so that the T-44 could shoot his side armour, but I suspect it's because he didn't want to have his arse pointed towards that T-49. But yeah, it's not like he could afford to take that hit though at this stage, so that was a bit of a miscalculation in retrospect. I almost said retrospect because that's a word. So a cheeky shot of the E100, which or the Jagdpanzer E100, which actually hits. There's the APCR velocity coming in useful. The rest of the map's not looking so good though. The only remaining tanks are all basically on the 9-0 line. So it's looking a bit dicey, and it's not like he has a huge amount of health left to play with. A couple of those tanks could actually one-shot him. So the Skoda's dead, having lost all that health in the engagement on the hill, mostly versus the 907 as well, I think. So he's, you know, that could have been a very valuable tank to have at this stage of the game. Having an auto-loader in the late stage of the game, you know, that's always a good thing because they can put out quite a lot of damage potentially. There's an arty down. The mod one's not looking too healthy. However, there's about to be a stroke of luck. Now, you'll have noticed that he keeps... It wasn't apparent at first, but he keeps toggling between sniper view and arcade view with, I'm guessing with his shift key, which is the default key to do it. And for some reason, in arcade view, it's fine, but quite often when he then toggles into sniper view, his reticle is pointing way up from where it should be, and so he has to spend the extra time bringing it down, which seems a bit unfortunate. So that's an extremely lucky bounce from that E75. That could potentially one-shot him. And the fact he pulled out sideways to do that, you know, maybe it's just not even worth trying to side scrape in this thing, but pulling out sideways and then getting that bounce, presumably on the beak of his front armour, that was just extremely lucky. So the Batchat, with his dying effort, puts another hit in the E75, and oh, that's just unlucky. Well, having said that's just unlucky, you know, that's karma. The E75 got lucky in return from having been unlucky not being able to pen ATI. So ATI is now stuck in a rather awkward position. The T-34's just killed the T-49, so we know he's not going to have to worry about getting a light tank up the butt from the hill. But the Jagdpanzer is almost certainly climbing on this side, and of course the E-75 is either side scraping or looking this way on the other. So this is just downright, you know, this is not good. This is not good at all. So he basically decides, as you would do, to take the hit that maybe he can survive, and he does. However, it very nearly goes badly wrong again with the Jaegeru just getting there and turning his gun. In fact, he didn't even manage to pen that shot he got in return, which was a little unfortunate. But yeah, his tracks repaired just in time. So 23 hit points. Yeah. Now, it would have had to been a high roll from the E75 in order to kill him, and clearly it wasn't high enough a roll, but that's the kind of situation where it is just down to chance, where you have to just take the risk, because the Jaegeru 100% would have killed him. I mean, there's the outside chance, of course, that the shell would have derped into the ground or gone into his tracks or whatever, but you know, that's an even bigger risk than taking the hit from the E75 in those circumstances. So that's either going to be the Jaegeru or the IS-3, and it's the Jaegeru. Oh, take the axle, take the axle. Okay, there we go. Manages to react quick enough to take that shot. This guy's now screwed. I mean, if he can't out-repair the reload that ATI has, then he's got no chance. Now, he does actually repair that time. I don't know if he had a repair kit and just didn't use it till that moment, but either way, doesn't matter. He's basically doomed. So, That could have gone considerably worse. The E75 could have killed him. The IS-3 could have been around and killed him. Even an HE shell would just easily do the job at this stage. So that is the question at this stage. Where is the IS-3? You might also have been entertained, if that's the right word, by the back and forth in the chat between the WZ-132 and the E-100. Yeah, there was a bit of salt around in this game, just a little bit. But I don't think either of them are going to have particularly scores to brag about, so yes. Anyway, so there's the IS-3, who had inexplicably driven all the way down there, instead of supporting his teammates. So, yeah, it was a bit unlucky the E-75 didn't kill this guy, although it did require a high roll. But if the IS-3 had been around, this could have been a very different story. And instead, the IS-3 just went all the way back down to their own base. And now he's all alone and dying rapidly. So if it worst comes to the worst, I mean, one of them can take the hit and the other can kill the IS-3. But it's not even going to come to that because, well, the gun handling on this is good enough that, there we go, he can just get that shot quite easily. It's not like he has to sit and aim for ages. So, that was an ace tanker with 10,017 damage. That's the nice, big, round, shiny number I was talking about. 10,017. Not bad. Not bad. Now, he did get a couple of lucky shots in there, and I think he did trade away more of his health than he needed to, which then led to that situation at the end where it really did come down to a roll of the dice as to whether he was going to live through that E75 shot or not. But in the end, it did come down in his favour, and we got this absolutely stonking result. So, that was a pretty good game, I thought, overall. I mean, there are probably things he could have done better, but it's always the case of, you know, actually being there in the moment with the pressure mounting up. He kept his cool enough to push through and make it a win, and that's what matters. So, hopefully you have enjoyed this this M60 big round shiny number video, and if you have, you can leave any comments below, you can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.